Hey fellas, welcome to another episode of Roll Back. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about intermittent fasting or time restricted fasting. And as the name suggests, it's really just about fasting for some time and then eating for some time. So you can fast for 16 hours, 18 hours, or 20 hours, 22 hours, whatever, and then dedicate the leftover time in a 24-hour time frame for eating. And that time frame when you eat it is also fancily called as the feeding window. So before I talk about why I like the idea of intermittent fasting and I've been doing it for some time now, I want to share about how I discovered it. So a couple of years ago, I learned about keto diet and I got on a keto diet, which was nothing but just having a lot of fat and proteins and very less carbs. So I was mostly on chicken and salad and a lot of cream and mayonnaise. So yeah, that's a part of it. Anyway, so I did it for about 2 months and kind of got on a routine where I was just eating 2 meals a day and that's it. I would be full in just 2 meals a day. And sometimes the second meal was not even as big enough as the first one. But the beauty of like the digestion of fats and protein is that the body takes much longer to kind of process fats and proteins than it takes for carbs. So, the cravings go really low and I felt full for much longer. So it broke that norm of having 3 times a day to survive and all that. So keto diet really helped me understand that you don't really have to eat so much. And somehow when my research started to explode for myself, I learned that to survive, like on extreme side of things, to survive, you need to feed just once every 23 days, which sounds crazy, but it is the truth. Although we don't have to go that extreme to have a balanced lifestyle, obviously that's something very unsustainable. But yeah, that's how I learned about TRF or time restricted feeding. So I started with a 16-hour fast and an 18-hour eating window. Pretty simple. I would eat in the evening at 8 or 10, and then the next day I would eat at 12 p.m. So it was pretty simple, just skipping breakfast and nothing extreme. And eventually I kind of graduated to an 18-hour fast because 16 hours was pretty easy. Then from an 18-hour fast to a 20-hour fast, and eventually kind of came down to one meal of day kind of a diet. And honestly, I mean, I did not do it regularly, not every day. I started practicing the 16-hour fast almost every day, but then the OMAD, one meal a day kind of diet, I think just 3 times a week or 4 times a week, and that's it. Other than that, I would just have a normal eating day. So there are a lot of reasons why go from a normal eating routine, or even for me, from a keto diet to something like this. Is there's a bunch of reasons, and I'm gonna state everything based on the personal experiences that I've had, and not just pass down shit from the internet, because then what the fuck is the point of a personal solo podcast? Anyway, so let me list down the benefits. So clear thinking. By the way, before I start, after experimenting some of those 16-22 hour fasting regimens, I kind of found the right balance somewhere down the line. And I'm speaking from a place where I've also tried a 36-hour fast and a 48-hour fast, and they're pretty extreme, and as much as they sound too difficult to do, 2 days of not eating, they're pretty simple, and they sure have their own scope. But for me, an 18-hour fast with a 6-hour-ish eating window works perfect. And that it was a lot of trial and error, and then I came down to that. So I would eat at 8ish in the evening and then eat the next day at 2-3 p.m. until the last meal again at 8 in the evening. So that's what I try to follow, and not every day, again, just 3 days a week, 4 days a week at the max, which is fine. You don't have to be a freak about it. There's no point in extremism. So right balance, whatever works for you. Anyway, so yes, that was my regiment, something that I still follow. And let me now get to the benefits. Okay, benefit number one, clear thinking. I started to realize this at that 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. kind of times of a day when you feel a little bit of lethargy and you kind of have your lunch, and just after your lunch you just want to take that nap. I, on the other side, who did not have his lunch, I would have crazy focus or mental clarity or just simply that drive to work and not procrastinate, which I think is enough of a reward when it comes to, what can you get out of fasting as a diet, like not eating, how can it help? So this is one of the rewards, I think, pretty significant, at least for someone who is a creator or who needs to focus in the day. And there are times of 2 to 3 hour windows, like literally you are in complete focus. So for designers, artists, I mean, this definitely works. That brain fog that you get just after having a good heavy meal, you won't have none of that. The next benefit is fat loss, not muscle loss, fat loss. And I think those people who say that you lose a lot of muscle when you're fasting, I think that's a myth, really. But it definitely depends on what you're having, what you're feeding in the feeding window. So you got to be mindful of that. So if you're not having any kind of protein in the day, you're going to lose muscle anyway, bro. You're going to lose muscle even if you're not fasting. So you got to be mindful about that. So fat loss is the number second benefit that I think really something, one can try intermittent fasting for. The third benefit, willpower and that reward feeling. So the two benefits that I just stated, they have a very tangible kind of effect. You can see that. But this one is more, I would say, philosophical. Like you have this sense of accomplishment when you've not had food for so long, and then you see that timer of, okay, it's been 18 hours, 16 hours, I've not had anything. And when you have the next meal, which would be light, you kind of have that sense of respect and gratitude for that meal. And that respect or that gratitude really grows exponentially. I mean, we right now are in this generation where we're just having food, just putting inside our stomach and, maybe watching a video or, talking to someone or maybe on the phone or whatever. So when you do not eat for 18 hours, you are really looking for that meal. So you really have that respect and gratitude for that. And you're very thankful for that meal. So the fact that you've not had anything for 18 hours, you train your willpower muscle, because about a 12-13 hour window of fasting, you really want to eat something because of the pattern that we've been living. The way your body will tell you to have something after 12-13 hours. That's the circadian rhythm. It will tell you, the body will ask you to, you know what, I want to eat something. Just have water. So that willpower muscle really gets trained. So that's benefit number 3. And the benefit number 4 is something which is supported by the benefit number 3 that I just stated about willpower. And I would say it is just a byproduct of that willpower training. And that byproduct is called dopamine detox or dopamine fasting. So what's it about is when we're bored, our brain is like, dude, you got to do something about it. I'm feeling bored. So, your cortisol might rise up and the brain gives a signal to the body that, okay, this is stressful. I want to do something. So you might reach out for your phone, or you might reach out for your snack or Swiggy or Zomato to feed that dopamine just a little bit so that you can feel okay. That's what it's all about. Like, brain is all about making you feel safe and okay. But when you see this as a challenge and you do not have an option to eat, that trains that willpower muscle and helps you to go the distance, which eventually has that prolonged focus kind of effect. And I would be lying if I say that it's always like this, because in the perfect world, it would be amazing. But there are times when I would really get groggy about, I want to have something. So that's when I have a black coffee, and it's a good appetite suppressor. Definitely a go ahead for that. If you're feeling hungry, just have a black coffee and you would not feel hungry for 3-4 hours. Easy. So that's benefit number 4. Benefit number 5 again is I think it's a placebo effect. But I mean, on the internet, it's stated that you will definitely improve your immune health if you do fasting. Again, that's going to be a trial and error thing. Sometimes people fast for too long and then end up getting sick. So that's not a cool way to go about it. But yes, the benefit number 5 is that I think I've improved my immunity. And I say this because every time when the season changes, I used to get this mild fever or cold, and it would take like 3-4 days to recover for me. And just seasonal fever, nothing extreme. But ever since I've started this, I've not seen those symptoms at all. Maybe a mild temperature rise here and then, but nah, none of that shit. Like none of that high fever, cold, gone throat, none of that. And uh, I kind of for my body, for me personally, the proof was just 3 months ago when my mom got diagnosed of COVID-19, and we had to home isolate and everyone stayed home, and my sister started to show some symptoms. My mom obviously got high fever. My sister, she had a loss of smell, and I, on the other side, had maybe a 99 fever for a day, maybe. I'm not even sure. I did not pay much attention to it. But then that's it. And those were the days when I was fasting every day for 18 hours. Every day, without fail. No Sundays, no Saturdays. So for just 3 weeks, I was fasting before that. And, when this happened, the diagnosis was done, and we were home isolated, I did fasting for the whole 17, 18 days until the end of the home isolation. So I think it might have helped. I am, I'm gonna believe it. So I mean, the immunity thing could really be a placebo, but it has been scientifically proven. So I mean, there's no reason for me to not believe it. Anyway, these are some reasons that I think intermittent fasting can help you all. Uh, Again, I would say a very amazing tool for longevity. So you should definitely give it a try. Okay, now let's talk about how to break a fast. And honestly, there are no rules, but there are some ways you can go about it. Like, this is what I follow. So you cannot just stuff up a pizza after an 18-hour fast and call it a day. You gotta take it slow. I mean, you will feel sick if you do that, because the body's gonna like be whole like flabbergasted with, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, what is all this food? So you definitely should take it slow. So start with maybe a salad. I like to have coconut water, and then eventually build up to a full meal. And that's the beauty of it. You start to respect what you're putting inside of your body, and you start to be mindful of that, which is when you start to feel connected with the food that you're putting inside of your stomach, and which is collectively called mindful eating. And I definitely appreciate it very deeply. uh, so yeah, that's how you should break a fast. Don't eat anything too heavy just after a fast. Definitely take it slow, and if there's no option at all, like, in that case, have very less of that. I mean, the amount which you think you might want to put on your plate is really just an exaggeration. You don't need that much. So eat less to start with, and then if you can have something light to break a fast, and then eventually build on to a proper dinner, a proper meal. So yeah, that's the way to go about it. All right, now let me expand on the 36-hour fast and the 48-hour fasts, and why do them in the first place. So for me, I really just took them as a challenge, and there's an app that I used which also had these fasts as options. So it had a 16-hour, 18-hour, 20-hour, 22-hour, but a 36-hour and a 48-hour and a custom fast and a 72-hour fast. So you can, you have the flexibility to go about it any way you want. So why I did it was just to test my willpower, and it also stated some immunity benefits. So when you're fasting and you're 16 or 18 hour in a fast, you have this biological function happening inside of your body called autophagy, and that's nothing but self-eating, or the cells start to eat the weaker part of your cells. So basically, the concept of survival of the fittest start to happen, and when it happens for a number of times every day for some months, the overall health of your cells improve, because on day one of your fast, the weaker section was really weak, and on the 50th day of that 18-hour fast or a 16-hour fast, the weakest part of your cell is probably stronger than the strongest part of your cell that was on day one. So when that happens for far too long, you build your strength on a cellular level. So that's how I understand it. Like, I almost visualize all this. And so autophagy kicks in at 16th hour or 17th hour, and after that you get into a ketosis and then a deep ketosis in about 24 to 28 hours. So when I say ketosis, I say that the body has used up all the glucose and the body has now shifted to fat as fuel, and when the shift is happening, you might feel groggy. You might feel that low energy kind of feeling. That's called keto fever. So you can feel that, but don't worry about it. Some people even say that their head is spinning or whatever, but it's just, I mean, if you can take it, go ahead. If it's too much for you, maybe have a coffee, and if it's really too much for you, then just break a fast. So a 36-hour fast is called a monk fast, and when one does it for 4 times a month for 6 months, they develop an insane immune health because their cells are stronger, because they've seen adversity and only the fittest have survived. So yeah, it's called a monk fast, and it's been stated that when you do a monk fast 4 times a month for 6 months, the people who've done it and who were also diagnosed with cancer, when they took the chemotherapy, a lot of those people who did those fasts did not show symptoms of chemotherapy, the side symptoms of chemotherapy, like loss of hair and all that. So they did not show that. So I don't know if that's true, but I read it somewhere and I'm willing to believe it because I've seen some benefits, at least with my COVID-19 story. So, but I don't do the 36-hour fast. It's, I don't know, I feel 18/6 is just perfect for me. And really, when I did the 18-hour fast, it's not that difficult. I mean, I have seen days when I have had a hard time doing a 16-hour fast, but that 36-hour fast was easy peasy. I think it's just about the mindset. When you're 24 hours in a 36-hour fast, you won't feel very hungry. It's a myth. People say that you've not eaten for a whole day, you must be hungry as balls. But no, you're not, because now the body's on the fats, and believe it or not, you have 30,000 calories of fat on your body, and you can live for 23 days definitely. So it's not dependent on glucose as a fuel, but now on fat as a fuel. So even a 48-hour fast may seem like a big deal, but it's not. And trust me, when it comes to food, I've been a foodie. I know what it feels like to eat 5 times a day, and I know what it feels like to eat once every 3 days. So anyway, if you're thinking to give this a try, the normal intermittent fasting regimen, a 16-hour and 18-hour, don't shy away from experimenting. Some people just do a 15-hour fast, and it works for them. And it's going to be a lot of trial and error, but there's no one diet fits all or one timing fits all. It's all about your unique body. Although what you can do is you can use this app called Zero or Zero Fasting. You can search on App Store or Play Store, and you can use it because it has a nice timer, and it kind of tracks all your fasts, so you know how many fasts have you done in a week, in a month, and what's the average length of your fasts. So mine is about 17.5 hours. Plus it sends you a notification just 1 hour before when the fast is ending, so that's very, very comforting. So yeah, use the app Zero if you want to, And anyway, give it a try. So this was intermittent fasting 101 for you folks, and I hope you guys learned something. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening.